Meghan ruined Harry. Now that the once carefree, fun-loving prince has turned into a miserable moaner, lashing out from the depths of his paranoia at a world he thinks is conspiring against him.
According to a source, here's the quote, Prince William plans to flex his muscles and wipe his wayward brother, Prince Harry, and his power-hungry wife, Meghan, from the history books, it says.
But this has been Meghan Markle's MO from the beginning. She wants all of the privileges that go along with an identity, but she doesn't want any of the responsibility. She doesn't want to do any of the work. She wants the tiara. She doesn't want the public service.
But Meghan is willing to show pictures of her kids. I think it just depends on how many zeros are at the end of the check.
Have you ever felt like you're watching something massive fall apart right in front of your eyes? Like history isn't just written in books anymore, but happening live. No pause button, no rewind. That's the exact vibe surrounding Prince Harry right now. And it's intense. The House of Lords just made a serious move, pushing forward a petition that could strip him of every single royal title he still holds. And yeah, this is way bigger than it sounds at first glance. This isn't just about deleting Duke of Sussex from a polished signature line or removing a fancy label from official documents. No, this cuts way deeper than that. We're talking about severing the last thin thread tying Harry to the royal institution he was born into, raised in, and once represented on the global stage. No more His Royal Highness. No more royal identity cushioning his name. Just Harry standing on his own in a world that's watching closely. And let's not act surprised like this just popped out of nowhere overnight, because honestly, the signs have been building for years, stacking up like pressure ready to explode. You could see the tension forming piece by piece, moment by moment, from that explosive Oprah interview.
Their 7 years, we have seen basically a catastrophic comedy of errors ever since they got married and then ran away to California. Something really bad about this relationship. It hasn't worked.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
The world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix.
But truth be told, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how good I was, no matter what I did, they were still going to find a way to destroy me.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. The truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage.
I can't imagine having to feel like it's appropriate to have those sorts of close and should be otherwise private family conversations just fleshed out in public. I find that really quite sad.
That shook audiences worldwide, to the headline-grabbing Netflix series that pulled back layers people weren't ready for, and then that memoir, raw and detailed, hitting like a hammer blow after blow. Each move didn't just make noise. It chipped away at the carefully crafted image of the monarchy, slowly peeling back the curtain and exposing a system trying hard to stay flawless in a world that no longer filters anything. And people noticed, trust me. They noticed everything. But this petition right here, this is not just another trending topic or dramatic headline to scroll past. This is the British establishment stepping forward with intention, making it clear they're no longer staying quiet in the background, no more subtle reactions, no more quiet whispers behind palace walls. This is direct, calculated and bold. The tone has shifted, and the gloves, yeah, they're completely off now. No question about it. And just imagine what happens when Prince William takes the throne, because that's a whole different level of intensity waiting to unfold. Let's not dress this up to make it sound softer than it is.
You just wait until Prince William is king. I think he's going to put his handsome foot down and he is going to rock Meghan Markle's world. Meghan Markle is going to be humbled very quickly.
According to a report in OK Magazine, Prince William plans on stripping both Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles once he becomes king.
This preposterous pair sitting down, giving that interview, that awful interview to Oprah Winfrey, calling the royal family racists. False.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
My wife is not visibly black, but that's who she is. The way that they speak about her and the way they treat her is incredibly relatable to everybody else of colour.
Meghan has always been a mad, keen player of the victim card. The nasty Brits who took against her because of the colour of her skin. The social media lynch mob who are so unconscionably cruel to her, the journalist haters who keep writing about what a bully she is. All the negative media coverage she gets has nothing to do with her.
Because the reality hits hard when Harry and Meghan packed up their lives, said their goodbyes to royal duties, and landed in sunny Montecito. Most people thought the story would calm down. People imagined a quieter life, maybe some elegant family photos, some charity appearances, a podcast here and there, something low-key but still polished. But instead, it flipped completely. Boom, a full-scale media storm exploded out of nowhere. We're talking major interviews, bold claims, serious accusations about racism, open conversations about mental health struggles, and deep allegations of neglect and betrayal that struck straight at the core of royal tradition. This wasn't just stirring up drama for attention. This was like smashing the entire system in broad daylight and letting the world watch every piece fall apart. The monarchy, whether people admire it or roll their eyes at it,
See this institutional gaslighting that happens is extraordinary. And that's why everything that's happened to us was always going to happen to us. Because if you speak truth to power, that's how they respond.
Before you gave up any royal duty, but wanted to have your royal cake and eat it by keeping your titles so you could exploit them and make gazillions of dollars in America to the highest bidder. And what do you do for that money? You trash your family endlessly, and you're going to keep doing it, as does your wife, who trashes her own family, most of whom she's disowned.
She sent a bloke or some friend of hers from it, and it said, present from HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. She's lying.
Yeah, she's gaslighting. She's lying. Absolutely. And this is just another one of those examples of Harry and Meghan disrespecting the Queen. I know she is no longer here, but that does not mean that the rules don't apply to you any longer.
The HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family because it denotes a level of I guess, respect in the public. And also it's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honor to have an HRH.
has always operated on a very controlled structure, almost like a perfectly tuned machine that runs on silence, discipline, and strict image management. When you're born into that world, it's like you're handed an invisible agreement, something that binds you not just to responsibility, but to staying quiet no matter what happens. Breaking that silence? That's not just controversial. That's a complete disruption of everything the system stands for. Traditionally, royal issues stay hidden behind palace doors, emotions are controlled, and public appearances are polished down to every small detail. But Harry didn't follow that script at all. He took that unwritten rule book, tore it apart, and showed everything to the world like it was nothing. He didn't just hint at things or drop subtle comments, he laid it all out openly.
Harry and Meghan take their audience for fools. They blame everybody but themselves. They present even the most incendiary of claims with no evidence. And sadly, the impact is real. The royal family is getting damaged. The monarchy is getting tarnished.
He told Good Morning America, I just saw my father who has cancer. He talked about how these moments can bring people back together. It's content for Prince Harry, and I don't think that the royals trust him.
I'm very, very surprised the openness with which Harry and Meghan have gone into this, in that, they're sharing text messages, they're sharing very private photographs, they're sharing every detail of their most secret trips in the early days of their relationship. And this is a couple who said they left the royal family seeking privacy.
Prince Harry mauls his own brother, accuses his father, the new king, of being a liar, even has a dig at his late great-grandmother, the Queen, for standing by and doing nothing. Another tissue of self-serving lies, mostly, I suspect. We don't know yet, but most of it looks like the Oprah interview, just another load of unsubstantiated smears designed to portray them as victims.
One revelation after another, turning private matters into global conversations. It wasn't just spilling tea anymore, it felt like serving an entire feast of secrets for everyone to consume. Now the conversation has gone way deeper than just asking if he should lose his titles or not. It's questioning the entire meaning of royalty itself. Because think about it, if someone can walk away from royal duties, openly criticize the institution, build a personal brand from that story, and still keep the royal status, then what does royalty even represent anymore? That's the fire burning inside the House of Lords right now, and it's not cooling down anytime soon. They're drawing a very clear line. No confusion, no middle ground. If you step away fully. There's no halfway lifestyle where you're living freely in Montecito, but still holding on to a royal identity like nothing changed. And this situation isn't happening in isolation either. Across Europe, other monarchies are already making adjustments, trimming titles, restructuring roles, and tightening control. Sweden made cuts, Denmark followed, and even Spain has been re-evaluating its royal lineup. The message is loud and clear: contribute meaningfully or step aside completely. For many people in Britain, Harry didn't fully do either, and that's where the tension builds even more. The question now isn't just emotional, it's structural. It's about what the monarchy stands for moving forward. Harry made the choice to step away, but at the same time, he kept certain privileges. And let's be honest here, you can't walk out the door and still expect access like nothing changed. That's not how this system works, and that's what people are reacting to. These titles aren't just decorative labels or trendy tags for branding. They're meant to represent service, responsibility, and sacrifice. At least that's the narrative the institution has always maintained. So when those same titles start showing up tied to documentaries, podcasts, and commercial projects, it hits differently for a lot of people. It starts to feel like something historic is being turned into something transactional, and that's where the discomfort grows. You can't go on a global platform, call out the institution in a strong way, and then be surprised when the institution responds in an equally strong way. To be fair, Harry isn't pretending to still be fully involved in royal duties. He's made it clear he stepped away. But stepping away comes with consequences. And those consequences don't just affect him alone. Even though Meghan's name isn't officially part of this petition, let's not ignore the reality that her influence has played a major role in shaping this entire narrative. In public opinion, that connection matters, and people see the situation as something they both contributed to equally. When Meghan entered the royal scene, she brought a completely different energy. Confident, outspoken, and not willing to follow the traditional expectations placed on her. For some, that was refreshing and modern. For others, it felt like a direct challenge to long-standing traditions. Together, they didn't just leave the royal family quietly. They redefined how that story was told. They shifted the narrative completely, turning Buckingham Palace into something that could be discussed, analysed, and even turned into content for global audiences. And maybe, just maybe, that alone could have been accepted over time. But it didn't stop there. They didn't just walk away and stay silent. They continued to share, reveal, and expose details that had always been kept hidden. Piece by piece, interview by interview, project by project, those bridges didn't just weaken, they burned completely. And now, the response is catching up to all of that momentum. For years, Buckingham Palace survived challenges by staying quiet, letting time pass, allowing controversies to fade without direct confrontation. That approach worked through scandals, divorces, and constant media attention. But even the strongest systems have limits, and when pressure builds consistently over time, something eventually has to give. This petition from the House of Lords isn't just symbolic. It's a signal that the strategy is shifting, and for many observers, this moment feels overdue, not just because Harry left his role, but because of how everything unfolded afterward. Walking away from a complicated family situation is something people understand. That part is relatable, but going public in such a detailed, direct way, addressing deeply personal issues on global platforms, and continuing to expand on those narratives, that's what changed the tone completely. He didn't hold back, not even a little. He mentioned specific situations, shared personal experiences, and raised serious claims about how things were handled behind the scenes. Whether people agree with him or not, the impact of those revelations was massive. No doubt about it. The image of the monarchy shifted, the perception cracked, and the traditional silence that once defined it was broken wide open. And now, the situation isn't just personal anymore, it's about what happens next for the institution as a whole. Because this sets a precedent, and that matters. If Harry keeps his titles after everything that's happened, what does that signal to other members of the royal circle? What boundaries remain in place moving forward? The monarchy has survived for generations by maintaining structure, discipline, and a clear sense of order. When that structure starts to shake, the response might not be immediate, but when it comes, it's strong and decisive. And this isn't just being watched locally, it's global now. Other royal families across Europe are paying attention, analysing every move like it's a case study in how to handle modern challenges. Because today, perception isn't just part of power, it defines it completely. Royal titles aren't just inherited symbols anymore, they carry expectations, responsibilities, and an unspoken code that shapes how they're used. But Harry, he's been rewriting that code in a way that feels more like building a modern brand than stepping down from a centuries-old system. And that contrast, that clash between tradition and reinvention, that's exactly what's driving everything happening right now. Don't miss the pattern here, because the moves being made are loud if you really pay attention. The multi-million-dollar Netflix deal, the high-profile Spotify podcasts, and that best-selling memoir that kept everyone talking, these weren't random or accidental. They were bold, visible, and very intentional steps that kept the spotlight right where it was. Every move didn't look like someone stepping away from public life or trying to fade into the background, not at all. To a lot of people watching closely, it felt more like a calculated pivot, like a shift straight into the business of influence and attention. This wasn't a quiet exit. This was a full-on rebrand, clean and strategic, and not everyone is convinced by it. Critics have been saying it clearly, no filter, that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle didn't just step back for peace or privacy. They stepped forward into something bigger, something that benefits them in a different way. From that perspective, it doesn't look like they escaped the system. It looks like they reshaped it into something they could control. And that idea hits hard for a lot of people, because what they once left quietly, they later amplified loudly, turning personal experiences into global content that echoes everywhere. There's this growing feeling that you can't position yourself as breaking away while still holding on to the symbols that represent it, because that contrast feels off to many watching. But let's not act like the situation is completely one-sided, because it isn't that simple at all. There are people who genuinely believe Harry didn't have much of a choice, that he was pushed into a corner and had to decide for himself and his family. Some believe he tried to modernize the monarchy from within and was blocked every step of the way. From that angle, his actions don't look like betrayal. They look like courage, like someone refusing to stay silent in a system that didn't give him space. And when it comes to Meghan, supporters argue she didn't control him, but instead gave him a path to a life where he didn't have to constantly adjust himself to fit into expectations that never really matched who he was. Even if you believe that version, though, it doesn't erase the impact that followed, because impact stays no matter the intention behind it. And that's where things get complicated. Because the monarchy isn't just a family dealing with conflict, it's something much bigger. It's an institution, a symbol, an image that has been carefully protected across generations, built on tradition, consistency, and control. So when that image gets pulled apart in global headlines and analysed in interviews and streaming specials, the reaction isn't going to be passive. The establishment doesn't just sit back, it responds, but not loudly, not emotionally. It responds through structure, through legal steps, through official processes. And that's exactly what this petition represents right now. This is the system reinforcing itself, making it clear it won't let things spiral without response. Some people see this move as too harsh because at the end of the day, Harry is still King Charles III's son, and that connection doesn't disappear. From that point of view, stripping titles feels personal, like a cold rejection being delivered publicly, but others see it differently. For them, this isn't about emotion, it's about protocol. A royal title isn't something you keep just because of your name. It represents responsibility. And that responsibility has to be maintained. It's not a souvenir, it's not automatic, it has to be lived and respected. And according to the House of Lords, Harry no longer fits that role. That's the position being taken, clear and firm. Whether this petition goes through or not, the message is already loud. The era where royals could speak openly and still hold tightly to titles without consequences is starting to fade. The monarchy is drawing a line. And it's not subtle anymore. Every institution has a breaking point. And for the British Crown, this might be that moment. What started as a personal decision between a couple looking for independence has turned into something much bigger, something that touches legacy, loyalty, and identity. And if this petition succeeds, it won't just be news, it will be historic. We're talking about a situation that hasn't really happened in modern times. Someone this close to the throne having titles removed through official action, that's a major shift. It wouldn't change who Harry is at his core. He will always be Princess Diana's son, and his past contributions don't disappear. But it would change how he is publicly defined moving forward. No more Duke of Sussex. No more His Royal Highness. Just Harry, standing without that royal identity. That shift is massive, because the monarchy rarely allows transformations like that to happen openly, especially not without resistance. And make no mistake, for many inside that system, this is something worth pushing back on. This isn't about getting even, it's about maintaining structure. The royal family hasn't survived by chasing attention, it's survived by adapting quietly and holding on to its core principles. Public reactions come and go. Headlines fade, but the deeper foundation, that's what keeps it standing. When Harry chose to share his story publicly, it changed how he was positioned within that system. His memoir, Spare, didn't feel like simple reflection to many. It felt sharp and direct. Page after page brought up personal moments, disagreements, and even subtle comments about other royals. For some, it felt honest. For others, it felt like crossing a line. Every detail added pressure on the image the monarchy has worked hard to maintain. There's only so much exposure a system like that can handle before it starts to shift. There was a time when Harry was seen differently, relatable, grounded, someone who connected easily with people. He was known for service, for bridging the gap between royalty and real life. But somewhere along the way, the tone changed. In trying to be open, the approach shifted from quiet diplomacy to something much more public. He didn't step away quietly, he made it known. And that kind of exit doesn't align easily with traditions built on restraint. Meghan, throughout all of this, remains a central figure in how the story is viewed. For some, she represents change. For others, influence. No matter the perspective, her presence is deeply tied to every part of this situation. Together, they've built a narrative centered on openness. But critics continue to question the intention behind it. Some believe it's about truth, others think it's about control. Controlling the story and the spotlight, the British public remains divided. Some support Harry's openness, while others see it as stepping away from responsibility. But regardless of perspective, one thing stands out clearly. Actions come with consequences. The monarchy was never built to function like modern entertainment. It doesn't follow those same rules. It operates on structure and long-standing expectations. And this is where everything reaches a turning point. Because what's happening now isn't just about the past. It's about the future of the institution. If Harry loses his titles, it sends a message that stepping away means full separation, not partial. It reinforces that being part of that system is about commitment. And walking away changes everything. Whether people support him or question him, one thing is clear. His decisions have forced the monarchy to face something it has avoided for a long time. Accountability in a world where everything is visible. This is no longer just private, it's global, and it's still unfolding in real time. If you want more deep dives into headlines like this, more breakdowns on the royals and stories shaking pop culture, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Star Spotlight, because we're keeping up with every twist as it happens.